Hello to everybody watching at home. My name is Laura Day, I'm with St.Ation, and today I'm joined by Trina O'Donovan, hoping to become your next Director of Wellbeing. In the next 10-15 minutes, I'll be asking Trina a few questions about her manifesto and the person behind it to help you decide who to vote for later this week. So with introductions over, let's get started with a couple of questions about your manifesto. So first of all, we've got to start with the thing that's impacting all of our lives, the thing that has meant that we're doing these things online. How has COVID affected your manifesto?
So I suppose I'm taking quite an optimistic view of the whole COVID situation. I really do see a light at the end of the tunnel at this point, and I think it's about going forward and working out how we come out of it now, how we make sure that the support is in place, so that we can come out of it on the best foot and really get back into life as we know it, or as we want to know it, as the case may be. But I think it's also important to take some of the things that did work from in the pandemic. So all this online stuff, we're now all experts at Teams, and well, some of us are. I'm not speaking for myself, but we're all quite used to being online and things. And I think it's a really good tool that now that we're used to it, we should actually utilize in normal life. There's like so many people who aren't always in St. Andrews, who don't always feel welcomed and included in our community, and that needs to be changed. So I think COVID has really taught us a lot about how we can reach out to these people who aren't necessarily in St. Andrews. I think it's also just shown us that we need to be there, and we need to really support people through everything. Just check in, you're going through the week, you haven't heard from a mate, just check in. So I really want in my manifesto to keep this sense of community both through the pandemic and beyond. And yeah, so that's kind of how I feel.
Great. I mean, I've had a look through your manifesto, and one of the key policies you outline is your intention to run I Never Thought I'd Try campaign. And that would involve collaboration with the Societies Committee, the AU President, peer support. So what experience do you have working as a team to ensure the best possible outcome?
For sure. So my experience running events like these, so I have been on the committee for the University Sailing Club for 3 years now, since it would have been first year, end of my first year, I got elected onto that. So I'm very used to running things like Give It Go. A big thing that we've been trying to do with that is trying to get people interested who wouldn't normally be, and we have like a very big interest from beginners who've never tried it before. And so we've put on a lot of events like that and advertised for things like that. So I think I can take that experience and really apply it to as many other societies as possible. It's a campaign that I feel very passionate about, because I think there's so many people who, they try what they think they're going to like in freshers, but then they don't quite gel with people, it doesn't quite work, and then they get halfway through the semester and they feel isolated. I really want to combat that. I think my experience with just running teams and working with people, I pride myself on my communication skills and really getting the most out of people and knowing the people to ask when I need further assistance, because I'm not always the expert, but I think that I'm very strong in making sure that I know the people to ask and I know how to rely on people and push people to get jobs done. So I think I could definitely achieve that.
Great. I mean, also outlined in your manifesto is your plans to lobby the university to provide sufficient diversity and equality online training as part of the online matriculation process. I mean, you'll be aware that last year's diversity training was removed following backlash in the student community. So how would you work to ensure that new training avoided such issues?
I think it's really important to have such a training, because we have seen, the effects and the negative issues that come from just a lack of education, I think, in a lot of areas. So I think having that training will provide that. I think working with groups such as BAME, LGBT+, and all these other diversity groups that are in the Widening Access Committee, all these other subcommittees that are within the union structure, really checking in with them and making sure that every section has been checked by people who know what they're talking about, who have done extensive research and extensive work in these fields, so that it is sufficient in providing that education that I think we need as a community, to even just step in if we see something bad happening, even just to have that confidence to step in when we see something in the street and be like, that you can't do that, that's not okay. So yeah.
That's great. I mean, democracy is another issue that's at the heart of your manifesto. And you say you're committed to ensuring that every voice is heard. So, how will you make sure that all students' voices are given equal consideration when enacting change?
So I want to make sure that I am a very approachable do well. I want to ensure that, I'm not just this some person who has an office in the union somewhere, and you hear little things in the SAB emails, and it's this sort of lofty position. I don't want that at all. I'm a very boots on the ground person. I'm a very kind of like work from the ground up. So I think having an open door policy, being very present in the student community, out and about, I think all of that paired with a couple of my other initiatives like streamline feedback and implementing wellbeing officers in societies, I think that'll really create a spread all across the student population so that wellbeing becomes conscious and a discussion that we can have at every corner of the student population and community here. So I hope that in doing that, I can make sure that I really hear the feedback, that I'm really paying attention to what people say, addressing the issues that matter to them as they arise, and just creating an approachable environment where we can talk about these things openly.
That sounds great. I'm going to ask now about first years because they have had an incredibly challenging start to their university careers and they've missed out on an awful lot. So, what additional support would you put in place to help incoming students adjust to life at St Andrews?
So I really want, I think making sure that, again, I come back to these wellbeing officers, but I really believe that they will provide so much extra support and just signposting for support that is already in place but people aren't aware of. It's something I very strongly believe in my manifesto. I think having them present in societies from the start and people being aware of them from the start will be really good for incoming first years. I think making sure that there are befriending events and loads of different meet and greet event type things for not just incoming first years who might actually end up coming into a more hopefully will end up coming into a more normal life, but also the current first years who will be going into their second year. I think it's important that we really focus on providing them with that fresher, if you like, experience and making it work for them so that they don't feel that, oh, that was a really rubbish year, let's just pass over that, move on to the next one, forget about it. Like, I don't want that. I don't think we should forget about it at all. I think it's important to have events that are focused at freshers but also events focused at these incoming second years, so that they feel included in the community, because it can be such a strong community in normal life, and it has been even through the pandemic. So
Well, now that we've explored your manifesto a little bit further, it's time to find out a little bit more about you, the person behind all of these policies. So, first of all, what inspired you to run for Director of Wellbeing?
I've always had a passion for wellbeing, welfare, everything that falls under that title. There's a lot that comes under it, so everything that falls under it has always been keen interest to me. I've always looked for volunteer opportunities and job employment that has a strong focus on those sort of the issues. Even though it sounds cliche, it's the truth. So I guess that's that. I think particularly running for this position though this year, I was the wellbeing officer for the university sailing club, and in doing that and in my own experiences with working out my own wellbeing and personal life stuff, I think I realized that there was quite a lot of initiatives, a lot of support and really good campaigns and initiatives that were being run by students in the union and the university that I was really unaware of. And then in being the wellbeing officer, I realized that I was far from the only one. So many people approaching me being like, hey, Trina, I need extra support, but I don't know where to go. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. And when I would suggest things that I had found as part of the role, they were, oh, I never knew that was an option, or oh, I think that didn't think my issue was serious enough for that. Things like that, which I thought was such a shame, because I was discovering all these new fantastic things, and so much of our community don't know that they exist. And I really just, in running, regardless of if I win or lose, just in running, I really just wanted to highlight that there's an issue and a disconnect there to the broader student population. And so if I were to be elected, I really want to like spend the year really, really targeting getting to every nook and cranny of the student population.
That's fantastic. That's a great motivation for running. But if you had one wish, what would you wish for?
Oh gosh. I feel like I could say something really profound, but I haven't had my lunch today because I just been busy. So honestly, right now it would be pizza. But like, I feel like that's not very profound or thoughtful. So I don't know. World peace and happiness, but accompanied with pizza, I guess.
Pizza sounds great.
Pizza's good.
And in the final minute, I'd like to give you the opportunity to say something to everybody who's watching at home right now. So why should they vote Trina O'Donovan for Director of Wellbeing?
I think you should vote me if you feel that you have a lack of awareness of what well-being in St. Andrews can do for you. I think you should vote me if you want things to happen from the ground up, if you want, your everyday life to be affected and in a positive way. And you should vote me if you want somebody who's going to be approachable and in amongst the issues on the ground, who's going to really, really advocate for you and really work with people who are, who are so passionate and who are so who have such incredible ideas. The other elected officers, I really want to push for them to like achieve their goals because there's some really amazing things that they want to do, and they're all volunteers. So I want to take the full-time aspect of that and really make sure that they can achieve, do the legwork if they need it because they've got their studies and things. So yeah, you should vote for me if you want something that's really going to just spread awareness and approachability and inclusion, I would say.
Trina O'Donovan, thank you very much for participating in this interview. I wish you the very best of luck with your campaign. That brings us to the end of Station's candidate interviews. We hope these have helped to inform your decision as to who to vote for this week. Please vote in the St Andrews elections. Goodbye.